Welcome to Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. I'm Jeff Houck. I'm Vice President of Marketing for the 1905 family of restaurants. And today, my guest is what I would call a Renaissance woman. Dalia Colón is executive producer of the Zest Food Podcast and also host and producer at WEDU's Arts Plus. Welcome.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention, award-winning cookbook, The Florida Vegetarian, came out last year. It won a gold award at the Florida Book Awards. And I am thrilled that you're here because we get to talk about so many things. You've got so many interests, but food number one.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So tell me about how you got into the food space. When did that happen for you, other than the fact that you're vegetarian?
It's wild. Okay, I was just talking with someone. I moved from Cleveland, Ohio to the Tampa Bay area 20 years ago.
Out of necessity.
This year, I said I would stay for a year, but then towards the end of that year, I met my husband, and now here we are.
Right.
Yeah, so I started out in journalism, Tampa Bay Times, and then into radio with WUSF. And I came onto the Zest podcast as a producer, more behind the scenes.
Right.
But then when the host, Robin Sussingham, left during the COVID pandemic, it just kind of fell into my lap. And so WUSF had been starting this food podcast. If they had started a podcast about, I don't know, dog training, then I might have been talking to you about that. But food is such a great topic because everybody eats. Food touches so many other areas of our lives. And then one thing led to another. I've done a lot of food writing for magazines, and I was approached to write a cookbook. Again, during COVID,
Right.
Worst timing ever. I'm homeschooling my kids. We're still wiping off our groceries. You remember that era?
Oh, I remember the blanket of sanctuary where we had to put all of our Instacart and then go through this elaborate process. And this isn't a criticism. I know everybody did it because we just didn't know.
Yeah.
And food became the invader in the house because you're getting deliveries, which was convenient. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if my milk's going to kill me by touching it.
Right. Yes. So it was during that time that University Press of Florida said, hey, we're looking for new cookbook authors. Are you interested? And I thought, I am drowning in work right now. Sure, why not?
Sure.
But it was never a goal of mine. So it felt safe because to go after your dreams takes a lot of courage and vulnerability. But this was never my dream. So I'm like, well, if it fails, nobody has to hear about it. And now here we are talking about
Accidental glory is still glory.
Yay!
So as you were starting to get into the Zest podcast, let's go back a little bit. What were some of the stories that sort of got your attention as to what the possibilities were? Because it seems like listening to the Zest that there are a lot of stories that aren't being told other places that you can tell in a unique way through the podcast.
That's what I love about podcasting. I don't know if you found this, but because it's a longer form medium, you get to have these deeper conversations that you don't have time for in a 5-minute, TV interview.
By the way, we have to wrap it up.
Okay, that's our show.
Thank you for being a guest.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the tagline for the Zest is citrus, seafood, Spanish flavor, and Southern charm. The Zest celebrates cuisine and community in the Sunshine State.
I am such a fanboy of alliteration.
I know, right?
That totally works.
Yes.
That covers a lot of territory.
It covers, those are kind of the tent poles. And obviously Spanish, flavor covers all the diverse cuisines we have here in Florida. And citrus is like the OG Florida food along with seafood. So between those four, we've kind of got all the bases covered. And one of our first guests was Andrea Gonsmart-Williams of a restaurant you may have heard of.
I may have heard of that.
Called the Columbia.
1905 family of restaurants fame, yes.
Some guy named Jeff Houck hooked me up with that, which was great.
Fifth generation caretaker.
Yes. And so we did start with, the Columbia and Burns Steakhouse and those sort of icons of Florida food.
Sure.
And at first you panic. I don't know if you ever feel this way, but you think, oh my gosh, we're going to run out of stuff to talk about.
I'm panicking right now.
We will never, listen, you and I, this can be a whole season. We can just
we could
shoot the breeze all day. But we will never run out of topics for the podcast because food is the gift that keeps on giving. And then every person we talk to, whether it's a James Beard Award-winning chef or a home cook, a food entrepreneur, they have 5 friends who are just as fantastic who also make a great guest.
And that's the great thing about Visit Tampa Bay's cookbooks and their cocktail books and everything is you peel a layer and it just runs and runs and runs. There's always a great story. I always talk about how food is an on-ramp to a better life for so many people. I don't care if it's Carrabba's, I don't care what it is. If you're a mom and pop, it's somebody's bet that this will be my entry to a better life.
Yes.
And sometimes you get to share personal recipes or share personal stories. Andre is a perfect example of that. Fifth generation, a lot of the family recipes are featured at the restaurants. You could talk about it forever. So it's a natural podcast topic.
It's so perfect.
Like,
yes.
I've never built a house. So if I listen to a construction podcast, I mean, I know what a house looks like. I know what some of the tools are. I don't know what that feels like, but I've eaten and I've cooked.
Right.
So it gives a different kind of emotional relevance, I think.
Yeah. And at first we were leaning more on here's how to make a Cuban sandwich. Here's how to make this great
Always
pizza.
a great topic.
Always a great topic. Yes, that'll be our next podcast. But then we realized, okay, there are other sources for that information, but this is where you get the storytelling. You know, I'm an audio nerd, and I believe audio is the most intimate medium because you think about how people are listening to this podcast or watching it right now, especially the audio side of it.
Sure.
You know, they're in their car, they're walking the dog, they might have a Bluetooth speaker in the shower, they're washing dishes, you know what I mean? And so you really get a chance to connect with people. And then that's where that kind of parasocial relationship comes from, where people feel like, oh, that's Jeff Houck. He's my buddy. I listen to him all the time.
It feels
I watch
very
him.
intimate.
I watch him all the time. Yes, it's very intimate. And I find food is so much about the storytelling. I mean, especially at a place like the Columbia. During COVID, did you do any like food experimenting at your house?
All the time.
Like,
Yeah,
what's
no.
something you learned how to cook?
So I had lost my way as a home baker for a period of time, and then, like everybody else in North America, got back into making sourdough again. I literally bought it in 15-pound bags. I bought a special vessel out in the garage. I mean, I was making it constantly. It was like food is therapy. And so I got back into that, but then got into other things as well. And it was just such a great distraction from all of the anxiety that was swirling around us. But food was that sort of comforter, that
Yes.
internal comforter.
Yes,
So-
same. We were making our own soft pretzels. Eventually, we actually switched to making dog biscuits because we're like, oh, this is
Well, it depends on how you cook them.
this is a marathon, not a sprint. We can't just be eating all the time, or this is going to be a
The
big
dog's
problem.
like, give me pandemic all day long.
All the
Yeah,
dogs in
yeah.
the neighborhood were very happy. It was like reverse trick-or-treating. But we all learned how to cook so many things during COVID that I feel like when we go out now, it's not just about what's on the plate, but
No.
it's the story behind it. It's the vibe of the restaurant. And so a podcast is a great place to dig into some of that stuff.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your arts side. How did that happen?
How did that happen?
Talk about a little bit about that program, because I love watching that program. I always learn something because I don't know anything about the arts, really. I think I do, but then I'm like, oh, well, Dalia's found somebody I never even heard of before.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah, so WEDU Arts Plus covers 16 counties, and we feature all different artists, visual artists, spoken word. You know, we've had the Florida Orchestra on there, a little bit of everybody. And I started out as the host, kind of on the side, and then that morphed into being a producer, which I love the behind the scenes stuff because we get to go into people's homes.
It's amazing.
People are
It's an amazing privilege to be able to do that.
Yes, people are doing some amazing things in their home. They might be a nurse during the day, but then they go home and paint.
Right.
Or they're, you know, a teacher, but then they've got this, you know, amazing orchestra where they perform in bars, or just who knows. And so it's really cool to get to know our literal neighbors with
Right.
both the podcast and the TV broadcast. I mean, I just interviewed a firefighter named Martin LeMay. He would be great to have on your show, by the way. He lives in Riverview, which is my stomping grounds
Right.
and yours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're 10 minutes from me. And he's a firehouse chef, and he's sharing healthy recipes online with people. It's just incredible. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, working on Arts Plus has been super fun. The artists are always thrilled to have us there because they want to get the word out too.
Sure.
And I mean, Tampa Bay, one of our nicknames is Florida's cultural coast.
I agree. It has so many assets to it that you know, I once you start to dig into it, you're like, oh, I'm barely scratching the surface. Like, I got like crazy into public gardens. So like Bach Tower and all these other places, Selby. There's great gardens everywhere. And once you kind of put your gardens glasses on, you see everything. And it's the same way with the arts. Once you
Mhm.
see the arts, they are everywhere.
Yeah.
And it also seems like we're at a time, especially in Tampa, where the arts community is like, oh, we're gathering around the fire. Let me talk about my project, and here's the new thing, and let's work together, and oh, let's just build a mural, that kind of thing.
Yes.
It seems like a very exciting time. It's like as everything exciting is happening in Tampa, it's also happening in the arts world
Absolutely.
as well.
And we have done segments at both of those gardens, by the way, because that's another form of art.
It is. And you talk about going into people's homes. I remember I was doing a story the early influencer days, and somebody was doing a live stream. This is when it was early, and they invited me, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, well, we're going to do a wine live streaming from somebody's house, and then the person who owns the house is going to make a 4-course dinner to pair with all the wines and everything like that. And it was a guy named Matt who he had just a passion for wine. I said, okay, well, send me the address, and I walked there in 45 seconds because it was about a half a block away from where we lived. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know my neighborhood. There's so many people to talk to.
That happens all the time. I mean, your neighbors, do they know what you've got going on with the composting and the worms and all that?
We don't have to tell all the secrets today,
Okay.
Dalia, but yes. No, it's funny because I during COVID, I got into, as she mentioned, worm farming, which sounds really terrible until you say, oh, I feed all of my Amazon boxes and food scraps to the worms, and then they turn into compost that can be used in my wife's garden. And people go, all your Amazon boxes? I'm like, yeah, all my Amazon box guilt goes away because the worms are constantly eating it. And you kind of see these micro passions, especially after COVID, I think, micro passions kind of come to the fore. So it's always great to talk to people because I'm like, listen, if I've nerded out about this, I know somebody else is kind of deep in the weeds on something else.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to kind of pull that out of somebody and talk about it.
Sure. I do want to get some worms from you. I also feel like everything is
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Okay.
I do want to get some worms from you.
You can take that clip totally out of context.
I will, you know what? I will get you started on worm farming because you're the kind of person who I know would take it and thrive with it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
the highest
that's a
compliment I
compliment.
can give you.
Well, thank you so much.
No.
But I think in this day and age, everything is on Zoom and we're always doing things on the computer. Right. And it feels so good to do something with our hands. And
well, the other part too is like I showed it to my neighbor. He's retired Air Force. He took it, got a worm tower, a little thing. Look it up, Google. It's a thing. Worm tower. That's how you do it. It's like little plastic trays. And then he took it and started a YouTube channel. Now has 20,000 subscribers.
Stop.
So there's white hot passion and a way to get to it if you just channel it to a place that helps people, entertains people. It's good, clean content. It's fun. It's useful. And it's like, oh, you've hit all the 5 sweet spots. That's
I think
awesome.
It's dirty content, but.
Well, it depends on if you use gloves. Okay. But anyway.
Okay, but my point is, it feels good to do something with our hands, whether that's cooking a meal,
Correct.
chopping onions, a
tactile,
lot of these.
Something
yes,
tactile.
like I'm a knitter. I'm like a mediocre knitter.
See, I started that.
Yeah.
And I was awful because I have hands like welder's mitts. But I do want to continue it. So we may have to do a mutual worm knitting thing.
Okay, let's do that. And I feel like it's good for regulating your nervous system.
Your breathing, everything.
Yeah. And so it just feels good to do something with our hands. So yes, we have the side where we love to eat out and we love to, watch other people doing things.
Sure.
But even if you're bad at it, it's fun to do.
It is. You can actually produce something with your hands. So let's talk about, speaking of dirt and growing and vegetables, talk about the Florida Vegetarian Cookbook, because not everybody just gets a call out of the blue from University Press saying, hey, you want to do a book for us? Tell me about that process and what you learned from the process, because I think, again, it's one of those things where there's like this hidden subterranean, not to draw too many ground metaphors, subterranean kind of culture that seems to have more resources these days, just my own perception as an omnivore, more resources, more place to enjoy that kind of eating and also cooking. But what did you learn about Florida and Florida's vegetarian life?
Ooh. Okay, Florida's actually a great place to be a vegetarian. On the surface, when I moved here in 2005, it was so hot. By the time I got out of
Cleveland,
by the time I drove from Cleveland down to St. Pete in my little red Honda Civic, every time you're on a road trip, every time you get out of the car, it's like a different temperature when you stop for gas. So by the time I got here, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm never eating again. It's too hot. I'm just going to drink smoothies for the rest of my life. I'm going to save a lot of time and money. This is fantastic.
I don't need teeth.
Food. What is that for? Teeth are optional. I'm going to save on my dental bills.
Sure.
Yeah. But then I started diving in and okay, we have fantastic produce, fruit, veggies, herbs growing here year round.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when you grow something yourself, you want to eat it. And we already talked about how great it is to grow something yourself, even if it's just like a little pot
And you
of
have a
herbs.
garden.
Yes, I have a very small potted garden
Sure.
that my kids help with, a couple of raised beds and a bunch of pots.
Sure.
But even that feels great. I made vegan pesto the other day because I just had crazy amounts of basil growing, and I never thought I'd be able to do that. So Florida's a great place to dive into that. And on the surface, it is a lot of seafood. It's a lot of pork and things
Sure.
like that. But once you dive under the surface, I mean, it's 2025 now. This is a great time to go plant-based. There are so many resources, whether it's, TikTokers and people on Instagram you can follow for inspiration. And I think now every restaurant is realizing that they need to have some plant-based options on the menu.
Agreed.
So I go to the Columbia and I leave stuffed. You know what I mean? Everywhere I go, they find something for me. I was just at Sol de Cuba Cafe, which is an Afro-Cuban restaurant, and it's fantastic. It was a feast. It was great. And so I actually wrote this cookbook for the omnivores, such as yourself,
Right.
because a lot of you are trying to lean into eating more plants.
Sure.
So there's like a roasted beet hummus recipe in the cookbook that's very popular. Even if you don't like beets, don't judge it. I promise. To a person, everyone has loved it.
I love me some beets.
Yeah. So you could eat that with carrots. You could eat it with pretzel sticks, or you could smear it onto a turkey sandwich.
Sure.
Like, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life.
Sure.
Yeah. So
that
it's
was a
been
great part
great.
about reading the book was that it was a no judgment zone. But I think you're correct. I think what happens is, or has happened in the past, say 15, 20 years, is restaurants went from just saying, oh, we have salad, to having something that actually feels like it was thoughtful and thoughtfully made and well done and well prepared, and not just an afterthought, because they know that there might be a vegetarian or vegan in the group, and if that person doesn't have something for them at that restaurant, that'll be a decision maker. That'll be a delineator. And so, like at Eulalia specifically, I'm thinking about the fried okra and the corn on the cob and the carrot ribbons and things like that. And it's like, okay, you push it all together, that's a lot. And they actually won a vegetarian restaurant award at one point. We're like, really? And then when you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, well, the whole theme of Eulalia is, what did the indigenous people eat? They ate a lot of what was native to the area. And it's like, oh, okay, so we actually fit our theme, and we satisfied people, and we offered a little bit of flavor diversity and whatnot,
Yes,
and did
I
it
love
well.
that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the meat eaters would order that dish too because it sounds amazing.
Right.
Yeah. And thinking about all the diverse cuisines we have in Florida, Puerto Rican and Greek and Haitian and Cuban and all these things. Plants are the basis of most of those diets. When we think about a lot of cultural foods, say we're talking about African Americans,
Sure.
People might think of soul food, like, your fried chicken and things like that. And there were times for that. But on a random Tuesday, my ancestors did not have the time or energy to do all the work it takes to take the feathers off the chicken, fry it up. I mean, that's a celebration food. A lot of the foods we think of, even in the Italian culture, a lot of the foods we think of as like, oh, spaghetti and meatballs, everybody loves that. That's more of a celebration food. And on a daily basis, they're eating a lot of plants.
Yeah. And I mean, you and I are both fans of the Collard Green Festival. And my wife grew what I think could be accurately described as an obscenely sized green last year that was probably almost double the size of this desk. And it just naturally, and the worm castings helped.
Of course. Yes, the worm tower.
She stood next to it like it was like somebody would pose with a grouper out, deep sea.
Yes.
And it was huge. And the greens were great. And our next door neighbor's like, can we get some of those greens? I'm like, come on over. And
I
it's
love
like,
that.
oh, okay. So it's a community thing. I love it.
That's the other part I do love about gardening. And again, I am a terrible gardener. But when you get a lot of something and you get to share it with people, I made that pesto and I put it in jars and I was passing it out to friends and neighbors. I should have brought you some. So sorry.
That's okay.
Next round. But that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like you're a little closer to somebody when that happens. So let me ask you the hard question. Do you have a favorite Tampa flavor?
Mango.
Mango?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Who doesn't love mango? Mango is vacation. Mango, first of all, the color is gorgeous,
It is.
Right? That like orangey, just beautiful tropical sunset color. It smells great. It's like announcing itself before it even
Very much so.
arrives. Yeah. My kids love mango.
It's a backyard food. It can be,
It's a
with a
backyard
tree.
food. You can be just eating it with the juice dripping down your chin.
You could floss with it.
You cannot floss with
it's
it.
very fibrous, but yeah. No, I have a love-hate relationship with mango, I will say, but I've come to appreciate it more and more. But yeah, people have a very deep passion, especially my friends who are Indian love mango.
Yep.
And I'm like, came to see it through their eyes. I'm like, oh, I get it. It's a cultural
because
thing
it can
too.
be sweet. It can be a dessert. It can be in a savory dish.
Yep.
I mean, if you don't love mango, I don't know that we can be friends.
Well, I will say I made a mango sorbet to try and make up with mango, and it came out awesome in the refrigerator, like one of those just kind of freeze and scoop kind of things. And I'm like, okay, I'm on your side. I'm on Team Mango now. And also, our mutual friend Annabelle Tomatich did that wonderful book, The Mango Tree. I recommend everybody read that. She just has such a great personal take on it. But I love when people tell their own stories, personal stories through food. That's always a great read.
Yes. One of my favorite dishes that I can think of in Tampa Bay would be at the Wat Temple in Hillsborough County.
Yeah. The Thai temple.
It's a Buddhist temple.
Yep.
Sunday mornings, they have a market. Is it still cash only?
I believe so.
I love that.
I will tell you, here's my story about the Thai temple.
Yeah, but it's the mango sticky rice.
So I was a food writer for a long time at the Tampa Tribune. I'd probably been doing it about 5 or 6 years. I really thought I had a handle on everything. You know how you do. You get kind of blown up in your own head. Anyway, a story came out in the Tampa Bay Times, and it was about the Thai temple. And I thought, I've never heard of this. And yet hundreds and hundreds of people are going every week to this thing. And I finally went and I was like, oh, I don't know anything. I need to relearn my city. And that really kind of propelled me, that embarrassment of, look at this beautiful, beautiful shining object on the river.
It's
on the Palm
literal
River.
Temple with monks walking around.
Right. And you can go in the temple, take your shoes off, and just meditate a little bit, or you can go outside and just have noodles.
Oh, I'm getting chills. It's a whole vibe. Yes,
you
can bring your dog, your kids.
Absolutely, beautiful palm trees and shade and everything like that. But that was my sort of entry point into I need to work harder, because there's so many great stories here, and all you got to do is kind of scratch the surface and they come out.
Okay, let me ask you how you do that, because you are my shining star. You are my food GPS.
Wow.
You have introduced me to so many fantastic under the radar places that I had probably driven by 20 times and never stopped.
Right.
How do you do that?
You just stop. So I have the physical dimensions of somebody with human Teflon. I really don't fear any circumstance, any place. If you walk in with good intentions and curiosity, it paves a lot of road. If you walk in and say, I don't know anything about what you do, but you look awesome, people are like, oh, well, let me show you how awesome this is. I remember I drove by a place called Noble Brew, which you and I have been to, a Noble Brew, and I walked in and I saw these polished cement floors, and there's like fake vegetation hanging from the ceiling, and they're making Yemeni coffee, which I had never had before. And I said, I didn't know Yemen made coffee. And they looked at me and they said, yeah, that's where coffee came from. And I'm like, well, I didn't know. This is how I learned.
Yeah.
So I had it, and I'm like, oh, so this is what coffee is supposed to taste like. Okay. And they cared so much, and they were doing, and it said, I drove by it, a beautiful mural on the outside as you're going north on Florida Avenue, and it says coffee, and then it says Creative Covenant. I didn't care about any of that stuff, but it was coffee. And I'm like, I want to see every place where there can be coffee. And you go in, you have a conversation, and you find out the owner's name is Safa. She has 4 children. She's a single mom. She's really into having businesses and beauty and coffee and culture. And I just thought, oh boy, all my friends need to see this. So I organized all my friends to go to this place. And then 100 yards away is a place called Birdette's. And Birdette's is an art cafe where people can come make collages or make frames or do all kind of artworks. And oh, by the way, they have snacks.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, this is so great. So it's like, the cost of all of that was just stopping.
Yes.
One day, just stopping.
But you know what? The lesson is you have to not be in a hurry. Leave the house 15 minutes earlier and just leave room for whatever you may come across.
I'll be honest with you. I just make an excuse. I just stop. There isn't anything if my family's in danger, I won't stop, obviously. If my house is on fire, I'm not going to stop. But usually if I'm ahead of time, I can stop in and just look around and see whether this is worth a return visit or whatnot. But just talking to people with an open heart and just say, I've never stopped here before. What's your story? And they'll tell you. They will tell you.
You're so good at that.
I enjoy being curious about it because people will always talk about the thing that they're always passionate about.
Yes, and that's what I love about working with food and the arts.
Especially food.
I'm talking to people on a good day. When I was a reporter at the Tampa Bay Times, a lot of people around me were interviewing people about the worst day of their life,
right.
the day they got arrested or the day their loved one was killed in a fire or something. I'm talking to people about something they're choosing to do in their spare time that may or may not even be profitable for them. So I love that. You're so good at that.
It's a dream. Well, so are you. And I mean, the best part is that you have a natural ability to make people open up like a flower. And it's so disarming. And that's why I love listening to the Zest and watching everything you do, because it's just a natural ability and not everybody has it. I joked about it before we were on the air. Dalia has two expressions, wide smile and wide smile.
And then I go home and I breathe fire at my family.
And you trip over the dog gate and you hurt your elbow and all that kind of stuff. So when people are new to Tampa, this is the other question. When people are new to Tampa, what's the first thing you want them to taste to make it feel like home?
Ooh. Okay. I probably wouldn't eat this because I am a vegetarian, but I think it's got to be a Cuban sandwich. I think if you sit down and have a Cuban sandwich or beans and rice or whatever it is that's in that sort of Latin spirit, you're going to meet people with great stories. You're going to get into an argument with somebody over how it should have been prepared, which I think is great. I love a healthy debate.
Yeah, it's it seems like that flavor profile, crunchy, salty, sweet, creamy, mustardy, pickly, is in the DNA.
Yeah.
So what flavors, Tampa flavors, do your kids love? And maybe they don't.
Great questions. No, they do. You know what's interesting? My daughter's good friend was born in Vietnam. So she has really pulled me toward some of those Asian flavors and going to those markets like you were talking about, making time to stop in like an unfamiliar coffee shop or something like that. So we've gotten to explore some of those international markets like Sanwa on Hillsborough Avenue.
Saigon Deli. Have you ever been to Saigon Deli?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh.
Where is
so they have some of the best pho. It's like Dale Mabry and I want to say Waters.
I love it.
And you walk in and it smells like a banh mi factory. And then you see like old women, no judgment, but giant pots of pho in the back.
That's what you want.
It smells like a bouquet.
You want a grandma in the back making it.
Yeah. And
what's it called again?
It's called We'll go.
Okay.
It's been a while, so I haven't been in a while, but Saigon Deli, and I fell in love with it instantly just because it feels like, oh, it's a restaurant, but it feels like you're in somebody's home.
Oh, that's perfect.
It has all those kind of big, rich aromas.
That's what I love. Like, I would rather somebody cook for me in their home than go out to a restaurant. So that's the best of both worlds. But yeah, so we've gotten to explore a lot of the Asian markets in town, and it's fun to go and like pick up a fruit you've never seen before and just like try to make something with it.
Never made anything with malanga. I think I'm about to, because I just saw a recipe for ajiaco. And it's like a Cuban stew, like a Caribbean kind of stew, but you can make a Cuban version of it. And it's got malanga. I'm like, okay, I've seen malanga, never cooked with it, don't know what to do with it. I'm just going to give it a shot. Like you said, take a chance.
Yes, I love that.
I do too. You and I could talk for another 15 hours.
Is it over?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
I've enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
You know what this reminds me of? This is like when you go on an airplane and you're watching a really good movie and you're like, can we just keep circling? I don't want it to end.
No, I'd rather land. But anyway, I get your point. But that's a huge compliment. And I always love talking to you. And I always feel like I learned something and I get new energy. So thank you.
Oh, the feeling is mutual.
Okay. Thank you for joining us on Tampa's Table, a culinary journey. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you can like and subscribe. Why don't you leave a comment as to what your favorite Tampa flavor is, and we'll respond in the comments and pass it along. Thank you for joining us again. Keep an eye out for future episodes. Until next time, we'll save a seat at the table for you.